Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by that fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about baseball cards. And yes, I am so excited. This show I have been waiting to do for like 2 years. And finally, thank you, Tony Southern Collector, for sending my guest to me. And we've hit it off, and we've had a whole bunch of exchanges over the last couple of months. And finally, I am doing the 1914 Braves show. If you saw last week, I went down to the Net 54 get together in Virginia, and I brought only my 1914 Braves collection with me. And so there were photos in that. But now we're breaking it down. And my guest, who I'm going to bring on, really complimentary type of collection, because I'm mostly cards. He's got photos and pennants and magazines and newspaper clippings and just a whole bunch of really great stuff, which I think together we really have put together like really an awesome show. I expect it's going to be at least two parts. 1914 Braves are the Miracle Braves, and we'll get into that. So this show, not only am I excited about it for having my guests and all his amazing stuff, but also because I get to go through a lot of cards that a lot of you guys have never seen before, including a lot of different issues. As a type collector, doing the Braves has given me the opportunity to collect from sets that I normally wouldn't collect from. So you'll see all different types of sets in this show. So it's really an interesting show, not only for the history of it, for these great cards, these great players, my guests' collection, but also type collecting different sets in the pre-war era. So really excited about this. I am babbling on, but I will get to my guest right now, and let me bring him on. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. Thank you so much for having me on this, I think, a very special presentation today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Michael, I have to say I am so lucky that it was Tony, right, that sent you to me.
Tony and I, Tony and I met online. I actually bought a Cracker Jack card from him this past summer when I was working in North Carolina, right? And then we just kept messaging. That's how we communicate. We've never spoken on the phone or anything, but we communicate almost weekly on messaging on Facebook. And he's become a great friend. We not only talk baseball, we talk family and all kinds. And as you guys always talk about, that's the important thing about this hobby is the connections, the family sharing, whatever. It's just great. So yeah, Tony, I appreciate that from him getting me to you. That's fantastic.
I join in everything you said. Wonderful gentleman. I talk to him frequently. And so yeah, so he did a solid for both of us and for the hobby, because this show, I'm like I said in my intros are usually not like 2 minutes long. Usually a little shorter than that, but yeah. Apologize for delaying bringing you on. But anyway, so 1914 Braves, Miracle Braves, maybe the best comeback of all time and the least likely comeback of all time. But we'll go through that as we go through the slides. But just give me a background from your experience of like why this particular team is a team that you find exciting enough to put together the collection that we're going to see.
And that's a very good question, because very much so. I mean, I began and still am a Giants fan. All my life. I grew up in the Bay Area. That's natural. Willie Mays, I was around when I was young when he was still playing for the Giants. So that's natural. But then once I was collecting, it's so weird how things happen. Once I was collecting Giants, I started to collect Giants as an adult and kind of got back in things in the early 90s. The Braves popped up. And I'm going to be honest with you that there's a connection between McGraw and the Braves. Yeah. I've read it in several books. It spoke to me. It's like, and then I started to collect photographs where he's always seems to be together with these Brave management coaches, whatever. And so once I started to make that connection, with the Giants, then I started to read books. And that's the thing, reading a book about the Braves. My very first book I read about the Braves, it just was amazing. Now I've read as many as I can get my hands on, but and there are a few out there, but it's so strange. We think the Braves, you and I both, you said it a minute ago, it's an amazing story. It's an amazing story in baseball history. But I don't think a lot of people really appreciate what went on back then. And I'll tell you one quick more thing, then I'm going to be quiet because I'm rambling.
Don't worry about it.
When I watched the 2012 World Series, and if you remember that one, that was Detroit and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants really they're kind of like the Braves. It really reminded, because of course by then I was very, into collecting Braves, the Miracle Braves and all that. But when I watched that series, remember, Verlander pitched that first game. They said the Tigers were going to destroy the Giants. And the Giants swept them in 4, just like the Braves did the Philadelphia A's. So,
oh, spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
I'm kidding. So it's interesting you should mention a book, because when I was a kid, I have a very specific recollection of reading a book about the 1914 Braves. And and this was right around the time when I was starting to transition from collecting as a kid to actually starting to collect vintage cards as like a teenager.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, I'm sure my mom gave it to me or it was in school or something, but I remember reading a book about the 1914 Braves, and it always stuck in my head. And, as a baseball historian, amateur historian, like I've known these guys' names for years. And so it was one of those things that stuck with me. But when I started to get into my family genealogy, and my grandfather, who has the same name as me, literally to the same middle name,
mm-hmm.
grew up about a mile from Braves Field and was a Boston person. Now, of course, this team, the 14 team, didn't play in Braves Field, but they were the team that built Braves Field. Let's put it that way, because if they had not won that championship, it's pretty good odds that Braves Field would have been built. But so they get, I think, kind of like the Seattle Mariners of '95 are the team that built, the new stadium, because what's it called? The Kingdome was falling down. And, Babe Ruth built the house that Ruth built is Yankee Stadium. But I think Braves Field is the field that the 14 Braves built by winning the World Series. So I'm kind of like family relation, history, and then, of course, the story is so amazing. In 12, they were managed by Johnny Kling, who I know you sent me some stuff. We didn't fit Johnny in here, but
and good we didn't probably.
They lost 100 and something games.
Yeah.
And the team completely turned over. They got Stallings in, and we'll see Stallings. You've got a lot of good Stallings stuff. They brought Stallings in, and then in 13, they actually started to get much better. They got better by like 20 games. And like a lot of the guys that made up the 14 teams started to come in, like Moranville was a rookie, Gowdy was a rookie, Tyler had sort of already been there, but he was getting better. And now you get the sort of nucleus of the team in 13 moves into 14, and of course they make several big additions, which we'll get to. So that's my history. And so I guess we should get into the slides, and then we'll talk about like the season as it progresses. You've got a really good slide about this sort of the short story of it. So I brought this one up first because it's kind of special to me. I bought this in an REA auction last year, about a year ago, and it was created in 1915 by the American Press Association, which I guess was sort of the early, one of those early, like, like the AP, like the early version of the AP.
Mm-hmm.
And this came out of the Detroit newspaper files, and it's what they call a composite. And these were fairly common back then, but not many of them survived in this condition. So you get, there's some issues around the edges and stuff, but you get a really beautiful presentation of, the best players on the team are in the 1, Stallings, Evers. Well, Stallings is the manager, but you got Evers or Evers, James, Rudolph, and then the 9 has some of the other players. And then as you get to the 4, you get some of the marginal guys, but you get a whole background of the fans in the background, and then the fans are in the middle of the 9. So it's really kind of a cool piece.
It's amazing.
It was not inexpensive. I'll tell you that much.
No.
It's a public record what I spent for it. You'd have to search for it in the old REA archives. But I just, I don't know what to do with it yet. I mean, I haven't. It's still in the original, like the top loader or the front loader or whatever you want to call it. But I'm thinking I probably will eventually get it like framed in some fashion. But so this is a cool piece that I really like. And we both have. I have this example of the team photo. This is actually a Type 3. It has markings on the back from 1950. So I guess 1950 was the 75th anniversary of the National League.
Yes.
So they did a bunch of photos of various, important teams, and it's got, the sort of old-fashioned typeface on the bottom with all the names of the players. But they're all in here, and it's a cool photograph. And what's cool about it is that it sticks around, and you end up getting a copy here from a newspaper. Now, tell me about where this came from.
Okay, I found, scrolling on eBay like we do,
Yeah.
and so and I always type in either Miracle Braves 1914. I change it up to see if something's, because you can't just use one thing to find stuff on there, really anywhere. But so anyway, I lucked up on this deal one day, and you're gonna. It may not surprise you how I'm going to tell you how much I paid for it, but it was nothing, Dan. It was nothing. Okay. And I thought, I'm looking at this on eBay. Nobody was bidding on this. It was $7.50 to do the opening bid. Nobody was bidding. And here you have this. Yeah. And here you have this newspaper that, to me, it's kind of not necessarily iconic, but it's a piece of history. It's a moment in time for this Braves team. And it has a lot of things going on. It's talking about the Miracle Braves. It's talking about the Braves leaving. Yeah. It's showing that insert picture below this one of the Braves that came back for that National League centennial that you're talking about.
Yep. They
were all dressed in uniforms, and it was I was impressed. That was a good chunk of guys that were still around in 1951, Yeah,
we that part of this presentation is near the end. It's sort of chronological, but sure, we'll get to that. But yeah, there's some really great pieces, and I've never seen that picture of the reunion, so that was really cool to see that.
Well, and again,
good for you searching it out and finding it.
I got it for $7.50. Okay. Amazing. But a lot of people don't collect newspapers per se, because then it's like your dilemma a little bit with the other piece. What are you going to do with them? You got to store them. You can't. Some stuff I've framed and put up, but a lot of the stuff when you collect, you got to store it somewhere. And I think that's the dilemma for a lot of people. Maybe that's why they pass on them so much. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I, like I said at the intro, I'm more sort of the card guy, and you've got a whole array of different things, which we'll get into. So now this photograph is not the 14 team, but it's incredibly cool. Tell me about what this is.
This I got this a few years back. I want to say it was on eBay, another eBay purchase. This guy had it. I kept going back to it because I found it. I knew it was in bad shape. I'd ask the guy a lot of questions. I said, does it smell? Does it, is it moldy, whatever? And he says, no, it's not bad, blah, blah, blah. It just has a lot of damage. I said, well, is it falling apart? I want to make sure it wasn't going to just crumble in my hands. And anyway, I took a chance. I paid a little more than I wanted to because of the condition, but then I thought to myself, you're a Braves collector. You better get this thing. I noticed Hank Gowdy was in it.
Yep.
For sure. And at times I tried to identify some of the guys because there's probably another Miracle Brave or two in there. And I just took the chance. And so it's on hard like they did back then. It's on almost like that carte de visite cardboard material. So it's not flimsy. But as you can see, it's heavily damaged. Thank goodness the damage is on the ends. So, and the bottom there, but you get the team and you get people in the stands. And as you pointed out, we both agree, I think that's got to be Braves Field.
Yeah. So just historically, as I said before, the 14 team played in the South End grounds in South Boston, and they moved to Braves Field in 1915.
Yeah.
And so this picture dates to the early 20s, I believe, right?
Yeah, and I based that on basically the sweaters they're wearing and the uniform. That's when they had and I know you're familiar with this, where they switch the Indian patch moves to the chest, and it's in a disc. Yeah. So I think that guy in there has the disc jersey on. So.
And Hank Gowdy, I think, was the last of the 14 Braves to play for the Braves, unless, of course, Moranville came back much later on in the early 30s.
Yeah.
But so he's in the photo. He's the tall man in the middle. And we'll see Gowdy a lot. Maybe this part, maybe part two. We're not sure how far we're going to get, but it's definitely Braves Field. And like I said, the other thing I didn't point out is that two of my children went to Boston University. They both graduated on Nickerson Field, which sits exactly where Braves Field used to be. In fact, I should put in part two a photograph of the Braves Field.
Definitely.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing that entity saved those iconic entrance buildings and all that. That's amazing. And I didn't know that for a long time, Dan. I really, just a while back, I discovered that. And then I online somehow, and I went, oh my God, that's the entrance.
There's a plaque right there. On the side of that building, which says this is where the Braves played and the 14 and all this stuff. And what's funny about it is when my son was a freshman, and I'm really going off here, they did all the orientation stuff, and one of the things was trivia questions. And so they asked, the trivia question was, what Major League Baseball team played on the campus of Boston University? And nobody knew. So my son raised his hand. And he knows the answer. I don't know what he won as a result. But I'm thinking all of the other guys around him are like, who is this nerd?
Yeah, who are the Boston Braves? What are they? I thought they were in Atlanta.
So before it became Nickerson Field, while it was still sort of just the remnants of Braves Field, this is like the early 70s. My father was from Boston. Obviously, his father grew up a mile from there. So when we were in Boston visiting some of his family, we drove by because the Braves Field is right off the highway there. It's actually the Mass Pike now. And we drove by, and I remember him pointing out to me, he said, Daniel, there's Braves Field right over there. Look. And I remember looking and saying, it looks like a baseball field. It didn't look like it does now, which is, it's AstroTurf. It's where the BU women's soccer team plays. It's where they do a lot of intramural sports. It's a nice field, but it's not. It doesn't really look like a Braves field, except they still have the jury box, and they still have the front ticket area that you referenced there. So Braves Field is still very much historically part of Boston. So you got a 1914 Braves pennant.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's just amazing what you can find when you really look. I think too, Dan, a lot of people early on, and I've been collecting them since the early 90s. They were kind of poo-pooed. It's kind of like the Babe Ruth photos from the Brave era when his last year. nobody cared about those photos 25 years ago. You could
Yeah.
get a Babe Ruth photo for 10, 15, 20 bucks. Not now, but you could back then, you know.
So I didn't put a picture of this, but I'll show you if you can
Oh
see. Let
wow.
me just remove this for a second. This is Braves pin that I got up at the Shriner show last year. It
Wow.
doesn't date to like 14. I think it dates to like the 40s or 50s, but it's definitely Boston Braves pin, and it is from the era when they
Oh
played
yeah.
there. So really like that.
That's fantastic.
$20.
Hey, that was the thing about the Braves too. When you started collecting them a while back,
Yeah.
not a lot of people were interested in it. You know, this video. You see, you're going to shoot all the values up now with the video.
Well, we'll see. My historical videos don't get the views that my other stuff gets, but whatever. This is a labor of love. This is what I was going to say this at the beginning, but I'll say it now. This is what I want this channel to be remembered for, a show like this, where I bring on a collector that you don't normally see on YouTube, who has an amazing collection that matches my collection, and it's something we're both passionate about,
Yeah.
and it's something that's historically interesting and historically relevant, and there's cards involved, and this is what I want my channel to be remembered by. So speaking of remembering, you provided me with this, which is a really cool thing, but also it's a great way to kind of figure out what the team was about. And we'll see cards and other items from these three pitchers here. But you got Dick Rudolph, who is special to me because he grew up in the Bronx. And when he was done playing, he finished his career. He went back to the Bronx, where he became an undertaker or a funeral director. And he then he's buried in the Bronx. I want to go up there at some point. It's what's the name of that giant? There's a giant graveyard in a park, Van Cortlandt. He's up near Van Cortlandt Park.
Okay.
And he didn't make it to the 51 reunion. He died in like 48 or 49. And so Dick Rudolph went to Fordham University. Now, my son, who went to BU, also went to Fordham as a law student. So
Wow.
I have a connection to Fordham not only through my son, but also my aunt got her master's degree in education from Fordham. She got it back in the 1950s when she was one of the few female students in the graduate school at Fordham University. So the Fordham connection is also important for me with Dick Rudolph. Bill James is a whole different ball game. He's from Seattle. He played in the PCL. He is, as you know, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yeah.
Had a terrific season in 14 and then hurt his arm and played out his years back in the Pacific Coast League. And then George Tyler is the lefty pitcher who was there before the other two guys and sort of developed into a great pitcher. And then for some reason they traded him to the Cubs, and he made the World Series with the Cubs when he was their ace.
Yeah.
But I like this. It says July 4th, Braves in last place. July 21st, move into fourth place. August 10th, take over second place. August 23rd, tie Giants for first place. September 5th, take over first place. September 29th, clinch the pennant. Braves swept World Series, 4 straight wins from Athletics. So you're a Giants fan. Tell me about what happened to the Giants that year. Why did they fold in September?
I just don't think they, Tesro, they really relied a lot on him. And I don't think he met the challenge at that point. He reminds me of other things that are going to unfold in this story. Maybe McGraw was overconfident too. I don't know. He kept touting, oh, they're going to win. And he kept poo-pooing the Braves all the time. If you read some of the comments that McGraw made, now some of that's, bluster or psychology like Stallings uses as well. But, maybe they just didn't think that the Braves were worthy of catching them. Yeah. But I think once you get to September or even August, they're getting a little concerned, They're getting worried about it.
Well, Bill James, went on a tear and won something like 19-2 from like a point when
Yes.
he won 26 games. So he was like 7-4, and then he went 19-2 down the stretch. So he was unhittable.
And
And
I think that 19 stat, I think 12 of them are consecutive, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk about guys today relative to that. There's no there's no
The bad
peer there,
news.
you know.
The bad news is they pitched him so much that he was pretty much
Yeah.
finished at the end of
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah, he was spent.
So one of the major factors of the turnaround was the introduction of George Stallings as the manager in 13, when they made like a 20-game improvement from the terrible 12 team.
Yeah.
Stallings is interesting because he really didn't have much of a career before that. And he comes in and he starts using his own methods, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So this is a picture. Tell me about this picture. I think I can identify 3 of those 5 guys, but I'm not certain.
Yes. And that's on me. I should have pulled out the authenticity certificate, and I didn't. I was trying to get you pictures. Like
you sent me a lot of stuff.
I said, I got to get this one. This is one that's on the wall. So that's why I didn't even I should have taken it out of the frame. But anyway, I do have a certificate for it too. But anyway, Fred Mitchell is sitting to the left of Stallings. And of course, Stallings is right there in the middle.
Right.
I really think that's Lefty Tyler. I do, next to Stallings. But I'm going to look that up for both of us. I'm gonna get the certificate out later today and figure that one out. And then of course the gentleman we've been talking about here, Dick Rudolph.
Yeah, that's definitely Rudolph there.
Yeah.
And my thinking is that the behind Rudolph, or to Rudolph's right, there is wearing like what would be probably a catcher's, like putting the hat on backwards kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's definitely not Gowdy, so it would be the backup catcher. What's his name? Burt Walling. That's my guess. I don't know that. I'm not clear.
Yeah.
But you have the certificate. So.
I'll find out. I'll look that one up. But this is go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was about to say Stallings is the center of this photograph, and I wanted for you to talk just to what you feel about Stallings and his methods that ended up making the big difference that year.
I think just all the difference in the world. I don't think enough praise can be, and when you read books and everything, everybody does give him his due. I don't think the general baseball public may know the story of George Stalling, I think, as much as they ought to. We all know about my favorite, John J. McGraw. Everybody knows about old, Muggsy, but George Stalling, and I think that's a shame, because he really was an innovator, and he has a lot of quirks too. He's an interesting character. He's from the South, and you don't see a lot of managers, I don't think, from the South. And he's from Georgia. That's another. He's deep South. Southern, born right after the Civil War, lived on a plantation. I mean, all these things that you just don't even hear, just almost unrelatable today.
Yeah.
He, as you mentioned, he didn't have a very good career. His stats as a ball player, I think he played 7 years, no, not the years, 7 games in the major leagues in 1890. See, he goes back to the 19th century, his playing time. So he's 1890, I believe, for Brooklyn, and then he plays 2 years for the Phillies. But he's only got 7 games under his belt in that whole time. Now look at the progression. It's 1890 for Brooklyn, and then he's only got a 97-98 year with the Phillies. Total 7. That's it. So I think, but his mind, I think he was a manager. He knew the game, and he was innovative in the game. There's I mean, there's so many stories about him. But I think his tactic, and I don't want to forget a couple of those stories because they're really, to me, kind of. He was an abusive person in some ways to his players, definitely abusive to uh, other teams, managers, definitely umpires. There's a lot
Yeah.
of that in this story, by the way, with umpires. Okay, and but I think things that wouldn't be tolerated today in baseball, but back then it all worked for him. It all came together. His strategy of putting a fire in what he could see the potential was for this Braves team that he constantly, as you know, Dan, he's constantly futzing with the team. He's constantly adding and getting rid of this guy, bringing in this
Yep.
guy, and
We'll get into that. They
yeah,
made some very, very crucial pickups during the season.
absolutely. I got a story I'd like to relate. So one time, and this was when he was in the minor leagues. So this is ahead of his Braves career. He was managing a minor league team, and this pitcher was horrible that particular game. So he comes out to the mound, and he just berates this guy, calls him every name in the book. He says, "You're so bad. You need to burn your uniform and get out of the game. You're horrible. Get out of here." So he leaves the field, and they're still playing the game. And then they discover smoke is coming from the locker room. and, they discover that the kid, he lit his uniform on fire in the locker room. And of course, the caveat to that is they saved the uniform, but the kid was gone. So, I mean, that's stalling. He's a force. I think he's very much a force of nature. I think with his nicknames, you can kind of see where it all stems from. The press, I think, liked him in a sense, or they respected him, so they gave him the moniker Gentleman Jim.
Right.
But the guys, they may or may not. I think he was a force, like I say, of nature. So he was either Big Daddy or Chief, or those are the monikers and I'm sure they called him, some names as well when they got mad at him. But other teams said he was the meanest man in Boston. And that's kind of where they left it. Okay. And, some of the things he pulls during the World Series I'm sure we're going to talk about and all of that. But one of the things in it's like he always reminds me of the character in the Christmas Story, the dad in the Christmas Story. Because, because the art of profanity, right? He must have been a craftsman of no equal, as far as what I've read. He was profane, just on and on, all of that, which is crazy. But he and as we see in this photo, this is a great photo for this aspect. And it kind of ties both managers together. He managed where you see a lot of McGraw. I use McGraw because, again, the Giants connection. You always see McGraw until very late in uniform. He always was in uniform, even though he probably shouldn't have been, but he was still in uniform. But Stallings, right out of the gate, he's in a suit. And remember, they had that rule for the managers that if you are in a suit, if you're not in a uniform, you cannot go on the field.
Right.
And so he had to manage from the dugout.
Well, Fred Mitchell there on his left was a coach, and Fred Mitchell would actually end up becoming the manager in the 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Fred Mitchell was kind of his, left-hand man or right-hand man there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who did all the
going out to the field and all of that. Absolutely.
So the story about Stallings that I'll relay briefly is that when Red Smith, J. Carlisle Smith, who we'll see a little bit later, was acquired mid-season from Brooklyn, Wilbert Robertson, who was supposed to be a real taskmaster over in Brooklyn, he didn't get along with. He comes to Boston, and he says, "Well, we didn't practice in Brooklyn until like the afternoon, and at Boston they had to practice early in the morning." So
That's right.
Stallings had them out on the field, and Red Smith apparently was like good with that.
Oh yeah.
I guess this wasn't really a carousing kind of team. Now Moranville got that reputation much later in his career as being a big drinker, but I don't think he was that when he was playing in Boston. So I think Stallings kept his crew pretty much on the straight and narrow. I know some of these guys, were family men, and we'll get to that later on. And they were not big drinkers, and which is rare for the era. But I guess they were in Brooklyn because they didn't practice in the morning. So let me just say this: the 1913 Fatima Boston Braves photo is very, very difficult to find and very expensive. And I'm happy that you have it because I have not been able to find a copy of it. And that's the Braves there on the top with the 13 team. Now I can't really read the names of the guys, but you'd have to say a lot of them are not on the 14 team because there was a big turnover of players.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I got that here, but yeah, you're right. Here it is. No, that's hang on. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. And of course, these you could have it right in front of you, Dan, and it's hard to read the names on the card. Okay, true. But you got Mann, Purdue, Whaling, Sweeney, Mitchell, Raridan. And that one I can't read even because it's in the case here.
Right.
Tyler's on the end, as you pointed out. He was on the team the year before. And you got old Dick's in there, I believe. Yep, Dick Rudolph. So you got Smith, Connolly, Dixon, Rudolph, Myers, James, Titus, Hess, McDonald.
That must have been late in the season.
Yeah.
Later in the season, because James didn't join until late in 13.
Yeah, and he's on here though. Yeah.
Yeah.
McDonald, Devlin, which he's not on the T, as you point out. Devlin, he's gone. And let's see. Lead, and then Rabbit. He's on the end, seated right there in the end there. So and you're right about this card. You and I both are on that journey. It wasn't until just recently that I was able to get this card because you cannot find it below $1,000. And I was kind of out of my
range for these.
Well, exactly. And I was adamant I was going to find it under $1,000. I was just adamant. Condition. It's good enough condition for me. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see a little bit of this later. It's missing a corner, which I can sympathize with because you'll see some of mine.
Yeah, but the point is, you're happy with that card. See?
Of course.
Yes, that's it. That's why I love about your channel, Dan. You are very honest. You're an honest collector too. That corner on this card isn't going to get me to not buy it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if it's one that's for a more pristine amount, you're going to spend the farm on some of these things. And then you're not going to have it then. So I'd rather have the card in an amount I can afford than
you'd rather
not.
Own the card in
own
whatever
the
condition
card.
it is.
Own the
appeal.
Yep. And we're going to see one of mine maybe later. That's probably the best example of condition and owning the card. There we go.
Let's we got Stallings to get through. So he's got the Cracker Jack card.
Yeah.
I have. So we both have, I believe, the complete Cracker Jack Braves, but you and I collected it a little bit differently.
Yes.
I only wanted Braves that were on the 14 team that went to the World Series. So I don't have Herb Purdue, who's in the 14s,
Mhm.
and I don't have Sherry McGee, who doesn't come to the team until 15.
Right.
And I have everybody else. So we both have Stallings. Yours is a 1, but it's a pretty nice looking 1.
It's not
And
bad. It's a good color. Yeah.
mine is an overgraded 4. So they look pretty similar.
Yeah, they do actually. And
But,
there's the grading controversy right there.
yeah, well, I'm not really concerned with it, but this was made
Yeah.
available to me in a bundle deal at Strongsville last year, so I picked that up. And I knew I'm not a big manager card guy, but I knew I had to have Stallings.
Oh,
And I had
yeah.
to have a Stallings. It's my only Stallings card, so it was important for me to get this. And then you've got this. I didn't even know this existed, that he had a one of these game cards.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that something? And that thing's been in the corner over here for a couple of years. So when you and I decided, you got a hold of me and we're going to do this, I was looking around and I go, oh, wait a minute. There's that.
Yeah.
There's that national
What year is this?
game card. 1913.
13. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here you got this is a great one. I think you were right about McGraw probably shouldn't be wearing the uniform anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the poster child. And it gets worse is what's bad as the years go by. But anyway, it's a great photo though.
Do you know what year this photo is?
I got out my uniform book and the other day before we were doing this, and I thought at first I looked at his age, and that's the big thing. I want it to be the National League playoff game or in that run in September, but I don't think it is. I think McGraw's just a little older, and I checked out the uniform. They're very similar. The uniform that they wore in 14 and the one they're going to wear in 1919 to 1921. So if I have to be honest, I think it's 1919, 1921 because Stallings was still managing. So it makes sense.
Yeah, let me just check. I think Stallings lasted through that time frame. Yeah, Stallings last year is 20 with the Braves.
Yeah. So you even close the gap further, then it's either 1919 or 1920 easily.
Yep.
Then, yeah. Again, wish it was something else, but I still, I just feel like the McGraw's in that 1920 to 21 era, and that was 3 years, and then the uniform would change again. So
yeah,
that's it.
And that I'm not sure if that's Braves Field or the Polograms. It could be either one.
Yeah, I can't tell either.
I see that that pole off to the behind Stallings there, and that could be either field. I tend to think it's Polo Grounds, though, to be honest with you.
Well, he's in a white uniform. That's what I always kind of look at. He's in his home uniform. So
yeah,
I would say because their away uniform was different than that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think it's the Polo Grounds too.
And there's Stallings. This is early. That's got to be early, right?
It has to be.
Yeah,
right.
If this is 20 or 19 or 20, this has got to be probably 13, right?
Yes, and if you notice, that's the photograph that they used on the national game card.
Right. Yep. Perfect.
So it's got to be 13, or it. Because really, I don't feel like we'd have much. I haven't found any images of him per se before 1913. Have you? I haven't really.
No, but he was managing. He managed not successfully the New York Highlanders, the Yankees.
That's right.
Before he came to the Braves, so this could even be during that time frame because he's young enough.
Yep. I forgot about that with Chase and all that bunch. Yeah.
And this is the back, the Type 1.
Yeah.
So players, we got to the players.
Hey.
So these are your Tylers. I think that you let me just say that I don't. Do you remember when and where you got the Tyler Cracker Jack?
Yes, I got that Tyler on one of the auctions last fall. Were you the one that was bidding on it, Dan?
So
You knew you baited me on that question. You knew it.
I must have been cursing you. I was the underbidder, but there's a happy ending for me.
Yeah.
Because I will see when we get to my Tylers, but I got a nicer 2 for less money. So
there you go. You're and I'm elated for you. Do you know that on the Tyler, I couldn't find that for love or money. I would post on Net 54 and all the Facebook things. I'd grab an image of a Tyler card and I put it up. The 2 that I was lacking till let's say until last year were Butch. I had everybody else except for Butch Smith and Tyler. And I couldn't find them. You couldn't find a Butch Smith, and I'm pretty good at hunting. I couldn't find one. So when that came up,
I lucked into it. We'll get to Schmidt when we get to him, but I got it off of eBay like 3 or 4 years ago. So the Tyler, that is so just Lefty Tyler was obviously a left-handed pitcher. He is from New Hampshire. He's from Derry, New Hampshire. And there's a video on YouTube where the Derry historian goes through and talks about him. It's really dry and really very, very amateurish video, but it's fun to see that they give him his props up in Derry, New Hampshire. He pitched for the Braves. He was the number 3 starter on this team only because that James and Rudolph had just tremendous seasons. And then he stayed with the Braves for a few years after 14. And inexplicably, they traded him to the Cubs. And his first year in the Cubs, he won 20 games and he had like a 2-point-something ERA. And he was the game 1 starter in the World Series. And he was like, in the MVP voting. So I don't know why the Braves traded him, but he ended up finishing his career with the Cubs. I have a Cubs card. We'll see that in a second. Just solid career. He won about 150 games or so. Gentleman, scholar, not a scholar, but gentleman, nice guy, got along with everybody.
Yeah.
And really a solid sort of, middle rotation guy for his entire career. And so I should mention that the Fatima or the Fatima card is not, the 13 is the year of the team cards. 14 is the year where they put out a bunch of player cards, and they're not cards as much as they're, I don't know. Did you ever feel the 14 Fatimas? Cause I have one. They're not like paper, but they're like thick paper.
Yeah. To me, I always thought I had one. I still do, not of a Brave, but of another player. And I always felt like, it was like photograph paper. That's what it reminded me of, like a photo, like actual photograph, like you'd buy in the and not, like the Type 1 photos. That's what it reminds me of. That texture.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those paper where if you held it in your hand on one end, it would fall down.
Exactly.
It's not a piece of cardboard. Let's put it that way.
No meat to that.
Yeah. So the Tyler card, and he's in the 14. He's one of 2 Braves in the 14 Fatima set. And we'll see the other one later on, probably in part 2. But because he was a legitimate pitcher at that point, I think in 12 he lost 20 games. In 13 he was like 16 and 15 or something like that. So he was a solid pitcher even for the bad Braves teams. But that year he started Game 3 of the World Series. He went into the extra innings. And we'll talk about that when we get to the World Series, but really solid player.
Absolutely.
How long have you had the Fatima card?
I've had it. I think I got it early this year.
Oh, okay.
Because I probably right after Christmas time, January, let's say. Yeah, both him and Purdue. Because I did it. I was very surprised that Hub and him, that there's only 2 Braves in the whole Fatima set. It surprised me. Now I know they haven't won the World Series yet, and maybe that says something if you're not that popular a player, or if you're not on a winning team, or what. I don't know what the reason was, but there's only 2, and we've only got the one who actually, as you show there, he was the one that was the only one that was in the World Series. So.
Well, we'll talk about Hub later on.
Yeah.
He contributed in other ways. So this is my example of the Tyler. It is what, a 4.5. It's a really good copy.
Because you see a lot more
3.5.
detail in your card, a lot more
3.5.
detail. Yeah.
I purchased this along with another Tyler card that we'll get to off of eBay, but it wasn't on eBay. It was on eBay, but I knew who the eBay seller was, and I went to Net54 and we worked out a deal. Which
You do
I
that.
can't say who it
You
is
do
because you can
that,
get in trouble
Dan.
for that.
You do that.
I
think so.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I
love this card.
It's
it's an older label, an older slab, and you can see from the photo it's a little smudgy, but I love this card. I love the just the sort of vibe of it. It feels very much of the era. So we've got these are the other Tyler cards I have. Of course, I told the story just a short time ago of getting the Cracker Jack. I got it at Strongsville, and it was not long after I had lost the auction to some anonymous guy. Now the card in the middle, the M1014, is just such a great card. And it's also, like I said, it's one of those ones that I bought together. Now, where is it? What did I do? I put Tyler on the bottom. Oh no, it's right here. Sorry. It's a 4, which is a high grade for these. It is a blank back, but the back is really clean. I bought this together with the Fatima card and got a deal on both of them, but it's super sharp. But I love this card because I'm pretty sure that's Braves Field in the background. And so really happy to have that one. And then on the right is the one from the Cubs, which I purchased ungraded. Not a hard card to find. The W575-1, I've actually seen this a couple of times, but it came back. I sent this in myself. It came back, minimum size not met, which doesn't really mean much to me. But I thought it sized up. But whatever.
No, it's definitely sized up. You're not wrong about that, Dan.
Not a. And then so that's.
But let me say
Tyler.
something. Let me say something about your middle card there. That is a beautiful card. That's absolutely gorgeous. Look at the corners on that thing. I'm
a big fan of this set too, and you'll see because I've got a lot of them. I've got most of the Braves from this set.
Yeah.
And so we'll see that. But there's so many different backs on these M1014s and M1015s that it's impossible to get all of them. I do have a couple of the rarer backs, but so we move on to my man.
There you go,
Dick Rudolph. Now you got a special version here of the Cracker Jack with, I think there's a pinhole in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, there's a pinhole. All right. Yeah,
well, that saves you a lot of money.
Pinhole scratches on the card. It's but again, it for my criteria, it fit just fine because basically his face is pretty good, except for the pinhole. He's got the color's good on the card, and it's a presentable card. Back's not bad, but that's a tough one. That's a tough one to find. I don't know if it's the amount that are surviving. I have no idea why it was tough to find. I always love
the higher numbers tend to be tougher to find, and this is a little bit of a higher number, as you can see. What is it, 154?
Yeah,
154.
Yeah.
And now on the right, so we should explain here that photograph used in the coupon cigarettes is the same photograph that was used for his T206, which you'll see my example of that. They just did some editing. They took the Toronto off his shirt and stuck Boston on the bottom.
That's right.
And I have tried to purchase these coupon cigarette cards. Are expensive. This is a 1914 card with Dick Rudolph on the Braves, which is something that I would want. I just haven't been able to find the right price and the right example. But congratulations to you for getting a really nice one there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you and I are collecting. There's a collecting philosophy that we're both. I'm getting that, and I have when I've watched you before, and I think you've got to have that collecting philosophy. You've got
Yeah.
to stick to your guns. You've got to get the right card for the right price that you're going to like, and not spend the ridiculous. If you keep, I can't do it. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on a card. I'm just
Yeah.
not going to do it. You know.
Well,
So
I should say that there's a Dick Rudolph Globe Stores example on it's a rare back
yeah,
and it's high grade and it's on eBay now, and I've gone back and forth with the seller a couple of times and he won't budge off of what is essentially like, I think it's at like 700 and then he discounts it occasionally.
yeah, because he can't
And I'm
sell
still
it, right?
I'm not going to
Yeah.
pay even his discounted price, you know.
No,
But
no.
well, you know, maybe someday I'll get to it. But he's also got the Gaudy in a Globe store back, and that's
Oh,
much
really?
cheaper, lower
Yeah.
grade. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to bundle the two, and I sent him a message on Net 54, which he didn't answer. So you know, we'll see. But you know, I don't have to have every card. But so
No.
we'll get to my Rudolphs.
There you go.
Speaking of not having every card, there's the T206 I just talked about. He was on Toronto. He had a brief period with the Yankees, I believe. I think they were the Highlanders at the time.
Yes,
He was
that's right.
unsuccessful, so
Yep.
they sent him back to Toronto. And then he was doing very, very well in Toronto, and surprisingly was not in the major leagues at that point. And then the Braves took a flyer on him. And either 12 or 13, he came in. He was good, but he wasn't as good as he would be in 14. Now, this Cracker Jack in the middle, I am very, very proud of this one. I purchased this before they went up way up in price. I got this and James together in a bundle, and I paid about half of what they would be worth now.
Wow.
So very, very happy with this Rudolph.
Yeah.
And then there's one of the first Braves cards I ever bought in this collection. I got this off of eBay. It's a 5, probably 5 years ago. And I spent, I would say, less than $200 on that. I don't even know what it would be now.
Oh,
yeah, pretty insane. How
more than 200.
Yeah, how lucky I was to be pushed
lucky.
to be getting these. Like I said, there was one seller had a whole bunch of these Braves and 101.4 and 105, and you'll see them, and they come up. I got James and I got Gaudy and I got Schmidt and I got Rudolph. But this Rudolph, yeah, it's a 5, and I don't know, would it be a 5 if it was graded now because it's an old SGC? It doesn't really matter, but I think it stands up. And so I love this photo I think it's also, again, it's the same, probably taken in the same photo session as the one with Tyler because they're in the same uniforms, the home uniforms, the black, and it's pretty sure that's Braves Field in the background. So pretty happy about that.
That's a beautiful card, Dan. That is a beaut right there. Again, look at the corners on that thing. I mean, the centering,
so just
picture.
To go back for a second to the T206, Rudolph has he's a minor leaguer, so I don't know, what do they call those? It's not a Southern leaguer, obviously, because he's in, I think it's the Eastern League.
Eastern League, or yeah.
And so he's got a bunch of different backs. So I got a nice, 3.5 is a pretty high grade for a T206 card. So I got this for less than $100. And so I was very happy with that a few years ago. And I just don't feel the need to get any more backs. It's a Piedmont, but we'll see. You could get more. We'll see how somebody asked me down at the Net 54, they said, "Are you done?" I said, "Oh no, I'm not even close to being done." There's so many more cards.
Oh no.
And I'm not in a rush. It's when I find something or it lands in my lap. I have saved searches for a bunch of these guys. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, this is another set of Rudolph cards. As you can see, that's the famous in bar on the left, which has the back. It's a nice back. I'll just show it briefly here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I like the typeface there, and we'll see. I actually took a photo of I have Connolly in a famous in bar also. We'll get to that when we get to Connolly, probably in the next part. Now, in the middle there is the Collins McCarthy, which is interesting because it was produced in California, and it was produced by a company named Z-Nut, candy makers. So what used to be Z-Nut cards are now called Collins McCarthy. And it's another beautiful back. I should have taken a photo of the back. Let me show you this. Look at the back on this one.
Oh yeah, I love that shield on those. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, this is a good one. So I bought this. I think it was Love of the Game auctions. Bought this and Benny Koff, who I also collect, as you know, a Giant from that era.
Yeah.
And so got them both for a good deal. The one on the right, you're going to cry when you hear this. I got this in a box at the Philly show about 3 or 4 years ago. It is a 1, but it's perfectly presentable 1 for a grand total of $20. I don't know why.
Oh God,
I don't know why. It was in a box of slabs, of vintage slabs, and I'm like, what? Dick Rudolph in a 514 for $20? Sold. I didn't even try to negotiate it down. I'm like, $20. Yes.
How fast did you get the money out of your pocket?
It's funny because if you look at these, I have Dick Rudolph search, so these come up occasionally on eBay, and they're all 150, 199, whatever. Like this is like $100 card.
Oh, but, easy. Hey,
whatever.
And beautiful
and now
color.
We got this. Let me just talk about on the right first. Ed DeCirio is a fantastic guy. He's from the area. He has such an incredible collection that he sells cards that he has extras of. That's how great of a collection Ed has. And I see Ed. I saw him at the Garfield show. He's on Net 54, and I was negotiating with him on Net 54 for this couple of years ago, and we never reached the deal, or maybe been on Facebook. I forget. And then I saw it on eBay, and I was like, I need to get that. So I went out and I put an offer in, and the seller accepted it. And then I sent him, my whatever the information, and he saw the mailing address. He's like, hey, it's me. So we exchanged messages. So I kind of feel bad because Ed had to pay the eBay tax.
Yeah.
To sell this, and so. He said to me, "Hey, from now on, if you want anything, this is my eBay. Don't buy it through eBay." Because I actually met Ed. I bought a really good, the Globe store of Benny Koff. I bought from him. We met in person and did the trade off that way because he works in New York City. So thanks to Ed for this one. But it's my only Ferguson. See, this is how you type collect. You get a Ferguson when you start doing this stuff. And now on the left. It's right here on the wall.
The Mahatma. Yeah. Wow.
So 1915 Tuxedo Tobacco, as you know, and we'll see it later on, had both Rudolph and Gowdy were part of their advertising, and they advertised in magazines, and we'll see the Colliers later on. But on the box itself, this is the box that the tins and the pouches would come in. And this is a full box. So you could see at the bottom there, like right above where the Cracker Jack is, that's like part of the inside of the box. So this is a flattened full box. And I didn't know it was this big. You can tell how big it is by looking at how small the Cracker Jack is.
Yeah.
It was in the most recent Love of the Game auction, and I saw it, and I'm like, this is going to be mine. I am going to get this. I don't care what it is or, what it comes to. And it ended up not being all that unreasonable. There's a public record of it, so I can say what I spent on it. The last one of these that went to auction was about 10 years ago, and it sold for $700 and some odd dollars. Mine was about $900. So there are only 2 known examples in the world of the full box. So I have one of them. The other one, like I said, sold 10 years ago. It's probably in some collection now. And there are examples of this where people have taken just the cover, the yellow portion, cut that out, and put it in a whatchamacallit, like a picture frame, but like a frame within a frame kind of thing.
Yeah, like a shadow.
And there's an example of the Rudolph and the Gowdy together, cut like that, just the yellow portion in a really nice frame that sold for a couple of $1,000 a few years ago.
Wow.
So I feel pretty fortunate to have this for less than $1,000.
Oh,
Also, really fortunate to have this, because if you're going to be a Rudolph collector, these are the kind of things that you're going to come up against, where like there's only, 2 full boxes, or I think maybe 3 of the cut version of it. So when you get to that point, you're in the upper echelon. And so, plus it's just such a beautiful piece.
Oh, the artwork back then of things like this is amazing. We can't
Yeah.
even get close to it. Just look at the colors, the
Yeah.
detail, and the
Yeah.
fact that you've got the whole. See, that's what's great about this piece. You've got the whole box.
Yeah, you can see on the right a little bit better, but the green portion would be the side of the box that says
Yeah.
tuxedo on it in green. Now on the
Yeah.
left there, you can't see because I got a bunch of lighting from my room making a reflection, but it's also the same thing. It's the green side of the box that
Yeah.
says tuxedo in that nice typeface. This is the same picture that's used on the Cracker Jack, which is why I put the Cracker Jack in the photo there. And so I just, it's on my wall. I mean, it's that important to me that it's on my wall. So it's really one of those things that it's a centerpiece of my collection, and I'm very proud to have it, and so happy that I was able to get a copy from Love of the Game Auctions. Shout out to Al and Andrew, friends of mine I've interviewed them multiple times and hung out with them multiple times, and they're just great people in the hobby, and they made my collection. So
Beautiful.
That's Rudolph. Now we got Bill James. We're going to finish with James because we're a little over an hour but now. So you got the whole blanket set, right?
Yes. And then as this is a horrible addiction, this thing called collecting, now I'm starting to do now I'm starting to look at the brown backgrounds, but I do have the whole white background collection. But yeah. Because
is this 14?
1914. No, it's 1914. So here's the deal with the blankets. They came out in 13. So for years, I thought these were 1913. And not until, your show made me do more homework. And so when the Braves won the world, when they came on, that's why they got a full set, because it said that when they produced these, that the World Series champ always got a full set of the blankets.
Right.
I didn't know that, but so that's why there's so many Braves. Unlike like we talked about earlier, the Fatima that only have 2 players.
Only has the 2. Yeah. There are 9 Braves, is it?
9 Braves. Yep.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but
you got James in the white, but also James in the brown. I think it's the only brown that you have, right? And
yes, it is. Yeah, because I just started that journey here a while back, trying to get
Bill James. Like I said, he was from Seattle. He was known as Seattle Bill James because I think there was another Bill James in the major leagues at the time. So Seattle Bill comes in. He's not great in 13, but then he comes in 14. He's just unhittable for like the back end of the season. He's 26 game winner. I think he was like a sinker baller or had like a sinking fastball. And so he pitched so many innings in 14 that when he came back out in 15, he just wasn't the same. I think they talked about his shoulder injury. It was probably a rotator cuff. And he hung around for a few more years after that, but he ended up, and we'll see, ended up going back to Seattle and the PCL.
Yeah.
So you have the Bill James blank back and in the M101, which is nice, and the Cracker Jack, which we both have 2s.
Yeah. How about that?
And
good.
So we have Bill James is a tough, as you can see, he's a high number. He's 153.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you got it as inexpensively as I did, because that is now an expensive card, Bill James, because of the high number and Cracker Jack prices going up.
Oh yeah, I've had mine for as you can see, the PSA holder's older, and I've had that for quite a while. Yeah, about half the Braves, maybe more than half, I've had some of them since '92. Some of the raw
Oh
ones.
wow.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
good.
So yeah.
Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. I skipped this. So did I skip two? Yeah. So Bill James, I have. Wait, is that your? Did I forget my? Oh no! Wait a second here. That's my 1015.
Oh, okay. All right.
that's that's my 1015, which I bought, like I said, on eBay for probably
Yeah.
$40 like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's my Cracker Jack in the middle with the PSA, and yours is also pretty much the same era. I think yours
Yeah.
looks nicer.
Yeah.
So then my last two James cards are these two. So on that 54, someone put together like a huge collection of ungraded Z-Nut cards, and like probably like 100 different cards, and there were two Jameses listed. And so they had, I think, two examples of the 24, and I took the better one, which, as you can tell, it got a two and a half grade. So I clearly got a good job. They only had one of the 25, which is missing a corner and it's kind of ripped at the bottom. So not surprised at the one on that. But I've never seen James Z-Nut cards before. I think he has a third one because this is 24, 25, and I think he may have a 26 or 27. But he's pitching for Seattle. I think it's Seattle and Sacramento. Yeah, this is Sacramento. No, they're both on Sacramento.
Okay.
So he pitched for the Sacramento team in the PCL after his career was over in the major leagues because his shoulder was shot. And they didn't have rotator cuff surgery back then. So poor Bill James. But he stuck around the game for a while. He lived much later than Rudolph did, and as we know, he signed a lot.
Yep.
And this is your, I guess it's an index card that's been authenticated by PSA.
It's not
WL
very,
Bill James.
yeah, not very exciting, but I was glad to pick it up. It wasn't very expensive, so
Yeah.
why
There's
not?
there's a few of these on eBay right now, and I'm tempted, but I'll get one eventually. I was
Yeah,
hoping maybe for something a little more, if there was like a signed card or something, but I don't know if those even exist.
I hadn't found one yet, but man, that would be something to have a signed card by him, and it's possible it could be out
yeah,
there.
it is possible because he did sign a lot. He did live a lot longer than some of the other guys. He's in that picture that you have from 51. I can look up when he passed away, but so that's part one. we got a long way to go, my friend.
We're not even to the series yet.
we got through the pictures.
Yeah,
We didn't even get to Evers yet. So we're at an hour and 12 minutes. I think we'll be able to go through the slides a little faster in the future parts of this series because, we've already talked a lot about a lot of the background and some of the players and stuff. So it'll be more card talk in part 2 and 3. I'm guessing we're probably going to get a third part. But let me just say this. If you stuck with us, I hope you enjoyed this, viewers, as much as I did, because this is my passion, one of my passion projects in the hobby, and to find a friend who has equal passion but a different type of collection which complements together with mine. It's such a special thing to be able to have this kind of a connection and to be able to do this show that I've been waiting to do for a long time. I almost thought about a couple times doing it solo, but I'm so happy that I waited. So Mike, thank you again for coming on. You will be, of course, in part 2 and probably part 3. So
I really appreciate it, Dan, and you're so right. You have amazing items. There's none. I think that tuxedo ad, the box rather, is just amazing. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, folks. Hope you enjoyed as much as, or even a fraction of what I have enjoyed so far, and we've got a long way to go. So we will see you back here next week. We're probably going to record it today, but it'll be on next week's Saturday video. with Mike, and more Braves. And I know you talked about, Mike. They're a little bit obscure, and it's a long time ago. It's 112 years ago. But it's such an amazing story, and there's so much to collect, and so many different items that are special that I feel like if my viewers like me and trust me and believe in my channel, that they'll stick with these Braves shows, because they're very, very important to me. So, folks, we will see you back here next Saturday along with Michael, and see you then.